guys, and we are back with another brother to brother chat, a B2B chat, not business to business, brother to brother. That's how it's done. First sip, woo! That coffee hits like a truck in the morning. We've got some blueberries today. Oh, blueberries. What am I talking about? Strawberries. Look how big this one is, by the way. It is definitely the season for it. Look at that. Huge, man. So, got some strawberries. Some deep chats coming up. You're probably wondering, do I even plan these videos out? Do I script any of it? Do I, you know, um, give these any thought of planning? The answer is no. I just kind of set up the camera, sit down, and just talk. But yeah, it's it's a good day today. I feel it. I feel it. I think how you start your day is everything, right? Like your morning routine. Now, okay, here's the thing about the morning routine. People think morning routine has to be like a series of things that you do. It's like, no, it shouldn't be like that. It should just be something that gains momentum. I think that is the definition of a good morning routine. Something that gains momentum, right? And I feel like a lot of what's glamorized nowadays is like, wake up 4 a.m., go meditate, breath work, then go ice bath, whatever, like all that. At the end of the day, the best morning routine is the one that gains you momentum. You are different to everyone else. And that's why I don't like the idea of copying someone else's routine because that works for them. You need to find what works for you. What works for me is very, very simple. Coffee, go outside. Simple as that. And then that's it. I'm ready to go work. Like, I find that the simpler you can make something, the more effective it's going to be. So aim to be effective. Don't aim to be all the extra steps in between. I think when you take a morning routine too far, it becomes another form of procrastination because you're like, you know, you're giving yourself a false sense of achievement when you haven't actually done anything in the day yet. It's just kind of leading up to it, right? So I think a lot of people would get lot more done, be a lot more productive if they just got straight to work. Your earliest hours of the day are gonna be one of the most productive hours you will ever get. So take advantage of it. Don't waste it on some bullshit morning routine. Right? Of course, if it works for you, it works for you, right? But I think kind of brings me to this point of productivity because I think people know me as a productivity guy. I'm not too like I'm decently productive, but I think what makes me productive is I don't overthink shit. I just get the work done. Oh my god. I just inhaled a strawberry. Hold on, let me wash this down with a bit of coffee. I need to slow down this morning, man. Too much of a fast pace right now. Just let me relax. Damn. Bro, I swear when I make these videos, I'm never like in a chatty mood, and then I have a first sip of coffee, some sugar, dialed, ready to go, baby. Um, what was I talking about? Productivity. So, a lot of people ask me, Jad, how were you able to balance like a consistent 7 GPA in medical school with a business, going to the gym pretty much every single day, and having a bit of a social life, doing all these things, plus being a full time student? How do you balance? How do you even balance these things? Now, when it comes to productivity, I feel like when a lot of people focus on like what is the strategy, what is the tactics to be more productive. But I think it comes a lot more from your mindset. Like you can only do so much. You can only like, clean your desk so much or set up the right thing so much to get you more productive. But like even like Pomodoro techniques like that, like they work, but again, it depends on the individual. Personally, I never did any of that. I never did any of that. I just had a pile of work that I needed to do. I created an environment where I could do that thing and I got to work. Like it's as simple as that. Now, in terms of balancing the different things, that's a different story. I'll tell you guys the key to doing that. The key to balancing different priorities. Things a lot of people ask, like, how do you balance all these different priorities of yours and do well at all of them, right? Now, the question isn't, can I balance these things? Of course you can balance, right? It's how do you do well at them? And it becomes with the misconception of people think that doing better, getting better results at something is by doing more of that thing. For example, if I want better results in the gym, I should spend longer in the gym. If I want better grades, I should spend longer studying. While that mindset does apply to some extent earlier on in that curve, the return on your investment for more time spent is usually plateauing after a certain point in time. So more isn't always going to mean better results. That's a key thing, a key principle I followed that allowed me to succeed in actually less or the same amount of time as other people, right? I'll bring up the medicine study example, right? Like when it came to studying in med school, I did not spend more time. In fact, I spent less time than my peers and still graduated in top 5% of the whole cohort. Reason being is because I studied better. I didn't study more, I studied better. I found ways to study more effectively. And it brings me back to the beginning of this video when I said, be effective, aim to be effective, right? And effective is going to look like different things for different people. But what was extremely effective for me was anchoring myself to a location where I could focus fully. I never studied in my bedroom. Never. I feel like doing work where you sleep is very difficult for me personally. So I head out to the library. I know exactly what I need to do. To-do list, right? I take regular breaks, like maybe every hour and a half, every 2 hours. I take like maybe a 30-minute break. During my breaks was arguably more important than what I did during the session because it allowed me to recharge and hit it hard again. What did I do during my breaks? I did physical activity. So I either went to the gym, I ate clean. All these forms of breaks are to refuel the mind and body. So that is really important. It's not just what you do during your study session, it's what you do outside your study session. Right? For me, I was hitting the gym, I was eating clean, I was if I wasn't doing that, I was socializing. So like also that's something to, recharge that battery. Underrated thing, socializing. Like, I wasn't a loner in med school. I had friends, like I had a social group. So yeah, those things they recharge your battery so when you come back again, you hit it as effectively as possible. Now, what you do during your study session, that's probably another conversation. That's I might make a separate video on that, how to study systems, because I had a system that I used, right? I think that's the power of having a system. When you have a process that you follow, it makes things automatic. But at the same time, you don't want something to be too automatic that you lose your edge. You stop thinking about it. It becomes routine and it becomes kind of like a habit that just plays on the background without you thinking about it. When it comes to studying, you want to be very intentional, right? So, not to the extent where it becomes very robotic, but also to the extent where you have a structure, you have a framework to follow that gets the things done, right? So, yeah, even when it came to the gym, like I wasn't spending too much time in the gym compared to the average person. I was going maybe 5, 6 times a day, 6 times a week, like not that much compared to other gym goers, right? But I was managed to get better results because I did it effectively, right? Like I trained with intention. I think so many people they do things in their life without intention. They do it on autopilot. They just do. This is what I'm meant to do. Let me just do the reps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Drop the weight. Da, da, da. Like they don't understand. Okay, what are they trying to do? How are they going to stimulate muscle growth? They just count the reps, do what they're told, go in and out. There's no passion. There's no heart. There's no intention behind the actions they do. That's why I think. That's why I always say like find like lead with your heart sort of thing, right? Like because it's such an underrated part. If you do everything with passion, execute with passion, right? Then you become a formidable force, bro. You become undeniable, right? Because not a lot of people do that. A lot of people nowadays are going through the motions. They're just existing. Okay? If you can be that one guy that puts his all into anything that he does, you're going to stand out so much. In the gym, I don't leave a single rep in the tank, bro. I blast it. Tell me that's not the most optimal way of training. I don't care. I don't fucking care. I just do what needs to be done. I empty the energy tank, right? Like, that is how you should be training, bro. And I think I want to segue it to this point. When people complain that they don't have energy, it's because they don't spend energy. You need to spend energy to have more energy. Right? I think a lot of people are like, oh, I need to save up my energy because you never know what's going to happen. But by becoming very stingy with the energy that you have, you limit the capacity for growth. You limit the capacity for more influx of energy into your life. Energy, like everything, is a flow. Just like money, you got to spend money to make money, right? So it's like energy is one of those things where the more you spend, the more you get. I am so energetic because I go to the gym. It sounds like paradoxical, it sounds counterintuitive, but it's true, right? Like, the more energy you spend, the more your body is going to adapt to get more energy, right? So, key principle to like just life in general is adaptation. Whatever stress you give your body is going to fight that to become stronger, more resilient to that, more anti-fragile to that stimulus, to grow stronger in that certain way that you're applying it. You put mechanical tension on a muscle, it's going to grow bigger to be able to do that better next time, right? So you spend more energy, your body's going to be more capable of spending that energy next time, right? And also it's going to increase the battery size, things like that. So, hmm. So, yeah, adaptation. People forget they dwell so much on these science-based studies. I'm all science-based. Don't get me wrong. I read the literature, but they dwell so much and they make that thing gospel to them. Like, oh, I'm meant to do one rep in reserve because, if you go too much, then you exceed the failure threshold and you're not going to recover. All that science-based evidence stuff, it's done on average people. Like, if you want to be average, follow that to a T. But also, it's done in a controlled scientific environment. Life is not that way, man. I think that's the difference between. I used to be that guy. Like, I'm talking to you guys in the perspective of like someone that used to treat that shit as gospel, the science based, the literature, the like what's the newest thing, like the Jeff Nippert kind of thing. I used to be that guy, used to look at the studies and do exactly that. But then I realized that like there's levels to this game, and I think on the tip of the iceberg there's evidence, right? But also on below that is experience. What do you actually learn by doing it yourself? And I think I came to the conclusion that everybody's different. Everyone's going to have different things that work better for them, right? To put everyone in a bucket and be like, you need to be doing this, it's restricting. It defeats the whole purpose, right? And not to mention, it's done in a controlled environment. Like, studies are all done controlled, no confounding factors, none of that. That's not how real life works. If you, like, if someone were to intentionally try to do one rep in reserve, they probably would be 2 to 3 reps in reserve, because if I put a gun to their head, they'd probably do more than one rep. So it's like, if you just go to failure, this is just an example. If you just go to failure, you probably will be 1 rep in reserve, because if I put a gun to your head, you'd probably do one more, right? So it's like all these little nuances that the studies don't pick up. So use them as a compass. Use studies as, okay, good to know. I'm going to, consider this principle, but the principles don't inform the specifics. Don't ever don't just follow a study blindly. Don't just be like, oh, like, this influencer told me to do this, so I'm going to do it this way. Figure it out for yourself. Go experiment. Everybody's different. You need to find what your character is, your perks are, your strengths, weaknesses are. Go off those. Everybody's different. So really, like, something about the science-based community kind of annoys me. Like, they've gone too far in that direction. Like, it used to be so much like now meatheads, like just bro science, and now it's gone too far in the other direction. They're trying to science base everything. Oh, the literature says that. Shut the fuck up. Just lift the weight, bro. Like seriously, really. It's bro. You think because they look good, they wouldn't taste as good as well, but bro, these are insane too. I got them from the farmers market, so well, I didn't. My parents did. Shout out, mom and dad. Mmm, so good, man. One more. Uh, Going back to the busy thing, like how I was able to balance all these things and excel at them. Yes, number one, I did. I found a way to do things better rather than do more of that thing. If you're wondering how I was actually able to find the better way, I went out and learnt the better way. Like I invested in coaches, mentors. Not saying you have to do this. That's what I did, right? Like I invested people that knew more than me because I knew there were people knew more than me, right? Let's say about business. I invested in a coach that taught me the fundamentals, right? Like you can accelerate so much of that learning, so much of that progress if you kind of drop the ego. I feel like I had such a big ego before. I was like, um, nah, like I'm not gonna learn from someone else. Like, bro, I can figure this out my own. But like when I dropped the ego and just started learning bits and pieces from other people, I became so much like my progress was so much quicker. So that's something. But also like YouTube, ChatGPT, all these things, they teach you so much if you just learn. It's all in the it's in the eye of the beholder. Like you can make these things the most useful thing to you. Some people use them for absolute garbage, right? So like it just depends on the user. But I use those things to learn more, right? Um, so yeah, just go out and learn the better way to do things. But also another thing that allowed me to balance was it's the mindset that busier is often better. If you have less things to do, less meetings to attend, less tasks to do, you're going to inherently be subconscious at a subconscious level, less productive. It comes down to Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law says, I abuse this law, and it's so good. Every single time I'm busy, I'm like, yeah, Parkinson's law, let's go. Because Parkinson's law state the less time you have to do things, the more productive you are. The work that you assign yourself expands to fill out the time you allocate for that work. So by proxy, if you allocate less time or if you have less time to do the said thing, you're going to be much more efficient to get it done. Think back to the time you had a due date for your assignment and you're like, there's no way I'm going to complete it. You ended up finishing it, right? It's because you gave yourself a deadline, you had less time to do the thing, and therefore you unlocked a productivity that you've never seen before. Productivity is less about the gimmicks. It's not about the gimmicks. It's not about the tactics. It's about your mindset. How much drive do you have to complete the thing? And I think setting a deadline, setting timeframes, being more busy, taking on more than you can chew can sometimes be such a big thing to entering that next level of productivity in your life. So, like for me, when I had that business that I was running with like 8 tutors I had to manage, 50 students, I had my exams next week. Like I was studying for those and I was going to the gym every day. It just astounds me how some people say they don't have time to go to the gym. Like it really does. When I was still able to prioritize that thing, plus cooking my own food, I was living abroad. I was living by myself as well. So cooking my own meals, doing all those things, I was comfortable. Like I was still be able to do those things comfortably. I was having fun with it, bro, because I trained myself to be effective, right? Busier is good. Like pressure makes the diamond at the end of the day. Like the more things you can take on, even if you don't think you can take them on in the moment, you've maybe taken on more than you can chew. Don't worry, you're gonna figure things out. As I said, adaptation. You gotta be an adaptable motherfucker. That's not my quote. My cousin said that to me. It always stuck with me. Become an adaptable motherfucker. That's that's everything, bro. Like, if you can be adaptable, you will thrive in any environment you're put in. That's the goal. You got to be anti-fragile, right? It doesn't matter what happens. You're always going to bounce back, and that comes back to the morning routine. The reason I don't have an elaborate morning routine is so I can do it anywhere. If I had to rely on a morning ice bath to function properly, or a Zen to function properly, then that's a weakness. My morning routine is, what is this? It's so low maintenance, just coffee. Like, you can get coffee anywhere, right? So build that structure, but also become adaptable. Be adaptable person, you know. Be able to thrive in a social environment, but also, like, lock in when you need to. Become that autistic nerd when you need to. Like, all these different personalities that I took on in medical school. So, hmm. So yeah, like, a lot of people had like one friend group as well, and I was like kind of in a lot of friend groups. Like, I wasn't that social either, but I could bond no matter what friend group I was in, sort of thing. So yeah, that's part of it. Like, being adaptable is a big skill. That is a very handy skill to have, because you can sit in a room with everyone. I can have a conversation with anyone, right? You know, if I want to, right? Strawberry's done. Now we're gonna finish this coffee off. Maybe say a final few words before we go. But yeah, at the end of the day, and I'm speaking like straight to you now, and that's, you're never gonna be too busy. You're never gonna not have time. All those are excuses construed by the mind. The mind likes to tell you things to keep you in your comfort zone. Like, that's the mind's job, to keep you comfortable. Right. So if it senses maybe a slight bit of discomfort coming up, or something that you might not look forward to, it's going to come up with excuses. The power is not resisting those excuses, but understand where they're coming from, addressing the root cause, and sometimes tuning them out. Because, you know, on the other side of that discomfort phase, on the other side of you not having enough time, on the other side of you, you know, doing the things that make you uncomfortable, is the next level that you're after, the next level that you're chasing, the level of growth that you want, that you so desperately want, right? God's giving you all these opportunities to do these things, yet your mind is resisting them. Why? Like, when people say they don't have time to get in shape, it's a cop out. Because if you can find the time, if you wanted to, like, you really could. If someone put a gun to your head and goes, you need to get in shape in the next 6 months, or I'm going to kill everyone you love, you're going to fucking do it. It's the same with basically everything. The mind loves excuses. It loves it, right? So, you know, tune it out, and just do what needs to be done. Think about why you're doing this in the first place. Like, I think, a lot of, we like the feeling of being in a comfortable space, but the paradox of that is, by chasing comfort, you end up being in an uncomfortable position, because you're sloppy, out of shape, broke, whatever. Like, all these things, they end up in discomfort in the long run. It's like, do you want a temporary period of discomfort for longevity and long-term victory, or do you want to feel comfortable now and be take the L in the long run, right? That's the decision you got to make, right? It's always going to be hard. It's like that I saw a post the other. It's like, choose your hard, you know. Being out of shape is hard. Going to the gym and getting in shape is hard. Being broke is hard. Making money is hard. You know, all these things. It's all hard. You just have to choose your hard. One of them leads in a life of regret, and, I should have done this, I could have done this, wasting your potential. The other one makes you proud of yourself. So that's the only difference between those two decisions. Both of them are going to be hard, bro. You know, being fat is hard. I can imagine, man. I've never been fat, to be honest. And that's something that I kind of wish I was fat to start off with, because I'd have that more relatability. I've always been a skinny kid. I'm more on that skinny side. It's always been like scrawny, lean, skinny, no muscle. That was me. So it's still, that would have, like, staying like that would have been hard now. It would have been so hard. Like, I can just imagine my confidence would be lower. People would not treat me the same. I wouldn't get the respect I do now. I wouldn't, you know, have that self-belief to even start that business, probably because I haven't proved to myself that I can do hard things, that I can transform my physique. Transform your physique is by proxy the best way to transforming your whole life, because you prove to yourself that you can do something. You prove to yourself that you can transform. And by proxy, when you transform the physical, everything flows on from that. I think health is that stepping stone to maximizing life. I really do. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping other people maximize their health, because by proxy that maximizes their life. If you're in shape, you're a different animal, right? So that's my mission. That really is my mission. Ah, man, that was a good coffee chat today. I hope you enjoyed, guys. Another brother to brother chat, another B2B chat. Let's make this the trend. We're setting the trends out here. It's been real, as always. Have a blessed rest of your day. Jad the Chad is out.